Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? It's your boy Ruben, and you know what it is. It's been a minute, Cowboys fans, and I wanted to definitely touch base with you guys because I didn't last week. With regards to free agency and let everybody know, hey, let's calm down a little bit. This has been the MO of the Cowboys for quite some time, so I'm not sure why anybody's overreacting, right? To the media. Like, this is just typical media overreaction. The Cowboys are fine, will be fine, and I don't get the overreaction from everybody. So, for instance, the Cowboys, when it comes to acquiring talent and putting talent on the roster, have been a well-oiled machine for quite some time. Now, it hasn't culminated in a Super Bowl, right? But this is where the hate kind of kicks in because you guys do understand that only one team wins the Super Bowl. Everybody doesn't make the Super Bowl, and all these teams that get all this love um, don't win the Super Bowl, right? So yes, do we maybe disappoint in that regard? Understandable, but you can't say that this roster isn't loaded, and that's where the disappointment comes in. So I don't get the questioning of what we're doing, how we're doing it. I don't get where people get off asking those questions. Now, the part of the reason I don't think we've won a Super Bowl is twofold, and I've been saying this for years, and I don't see how we win a Super Bowl with Mike McCarthy as the head coach. And at this point, I'm getting to the point where I don't see where we win it with Dak Prescott. Now, last year I started to flip on that and say, you know what, I think we can get to the Super Bowl with Dak. But that was because I thought I saw Dak turn a corner throughout the season, and I thought we were good enough around him. And I still think if you build a good enough team around him, things could fall into place, right? But I no longer believe he can be the catalyst, is basically what I'm getting at. So if we put a good enough defense, good enough running game, and support him well enough where we're not putting him in situations where he has to dig us out a hole, I think we can make it to a Super Bowl, right? But that's a lot of ifs, okay? So in terms of, again, adding talent, we have to pay CD. We got to pay Micah, right? Um, the one thing I'm concerned with, right? So we lost Tyron Smith, and that's fine. We kind of saw that writing on the wall when we drafted Tyler Smith. Now the only issue I have is that we did lose Biotis, and we did have a replacement for Tyron Smith with Tyler Smith, but Tyler Smith became an all-pro left guard. So it's I'm wondering what they're gonna do there. It's a little iffy to move an all-pro left guard to left tackle, but I'm fine with it. But my issue would be then at that point we have two holes at center and left guard in that regard. Now, guess what's kind of easy to fix later in the draft? Okay, I'm not saying you're gonna draft Pro Bowlers, but guards, centers, and defensive tackles, which are our biggest needs in my opinion, are positions that you can fill later in the draft. And I fully expect them to address it there. And then the Cowboys never get into the first wave of free agency. We usually play the second wave with some thoughtful, free agent additions that are on good deals, maybe short-term deals. Look at last season, and even we even worked the trade market, right? So last season we got Brandon Cooks, Stephon Gilmore. Great additions, in my opinion. I don't think we use Brandon Cooks to his full potential, but good additions nonetheless, right? This season, like if I want anybody, because I don't know who it is you guys wanted that you thought we were going to be able to afford and fit under this cap, right? I never thought that was going to happen. Now we let Tony Pollard walk. I wasn't thrilled, but I was very underwhelmed by his performance last year. I feel like his production can be replaced, and it can be replaced twofold. Like I'm fine with Deuce Vaughn. I don't think Deuce Vaughn is going to enter the season being running back one, right? We did re-sign Rico Dowdle last I checked, and I thought he was plenty good. I have no problem with him being running back one. Could we do better? Absolutely. But a 1-2 punch of Dowdle and Deuce Vaughn, I think Deuce Vaughn can kind of slide into that Tony Pollard role where, when Tony Pollard was playing backup to Zeke, right? That's another position we can fill in the draft. It's even with late draft picks, right? I'm a fan of Blake Corum. I think he's going to fall a little late in the draft because he didn't quite have that speed. But Blake Corum reminds me a lot of Marion Barber. So if I'm able to pair that with Deuce Vaughn's kind of scat backness, right, to him, I think we're going to be fine. And I think a lot of the issues that we have can be addressed in the draft. We did sign Eric Kendricks, which is nice to get a legitimate linebacker in the house. It does give me a little. The only pause I have is Mike Zimmer's a new D coordinator, so that means we're gonna stay 4-3. I like Mike Zimmer, and he's a guy that he doesn't like to blitz a lot. He does like to, show blitz, but he basically sends four. And I'm fine with that too. I'm a big proponent of the 4-3. I'm a big proponent of getting pressure with the 4 and having 7 guys drop back, looking at the quarterback to, forcing smaller, tighter throws, and possibly getting picks and making mistakes. I'm good with that. The only issue is again where I said we need a defensive tackle and we also needed actual linebackers with us losing Van Der Esch. Bringing in Kendricks was big because that's a legitimate linebacker. Some of us seem to have forgotten that last year DeMarvion Overshown was going to play significant snaps, right? So who's going to be the middle linebacker? I'm not sure. If my prediction is Kendricks is probably going to move to the weak side and Overshown is going to be the middle linebacker. And Overshown had good size. So he gives us actual size, girth, and actual linebacker play. So we're not getting ran through kind of like we did last year. I expect Mozzie Smith to really put in a great offseason and do what we brought him here for. Stand guys up. Be a game wrecker in the middle of the not a game wrecker, but take up space, free up the linebackers, be an immovable object. That's what we drafted Mozzie Smith for. Now I'm sure we're gonna draft depth or get a late free agent signing of a defensive tackle because we don't need like a Aaron Donald or anything like that. And those are going to be hard to find. But a big guy to hold up blocks, that's something we can find because that's what we need. And that's something we can find cheap in free agency. So, or the draft, in the draft. You just need a big guy to hold up blocks, free up linebackers. It will make a world of difference if we're able to, acquire that. Other than that, I mean, I'm good. If I had one guy on my wish list, and I always say this, I think safeties are. When I'm building a team, I don't want to spend money on a safety, right? Because in particular, it depends on where you are in life, right? If you're going to spend money on a safety, it better be like a guy that you feel like puts you over the top, right? I love me some Justin Simmons. And I think you put him here with Trayvon coming back, with Deron Bland coming back, and if we have any money left over, I'd bring Stephon Gilmore back for depth purposes. I think this defense could be legit with those couple signings. I think it would put us over the top. I don't think anybody's throwing on this team, and I think we can be a powerhouse defensively if, of course, Trayvon Diggs comes back healthy, right? And they sign Justin Simmons. I think Justin Simmons can be had for relatively cheap. I think he wants to go to a contender, and I think we're that team. So the longer he sits in free agency, the more I feel like that price might come down, or he might be willing to make some concessions to play for a contender like us. And at the end of the day, it is Dallas. A lot of guys want to put that star in their helmet. They might make some concessions for that. So that's where I'm at. I think we're fine, guys. Relax, chill. We'll be all right. The only other question we got is Dak Prescott and his contract situation, man. I believe it's like close to $60 million, I believe. I'm not signing. I don't want to see them re-sign Dak. That's just my personal opinion. I don't want to see them re-sign Dak. I'd rather see them play it through because if we're not going to get to the Super Bowl, I'm just ready to move on from Dak Prescott, and I'd rather not be tied to him for multiple years at 34. It's gonna be 40 plus million, probably 50. Um, that's just how the quarterback market is going at this point. I I hate to lose him for nothing, but that salary cap is more valuable than you know. And with this kind of talented of a team, um, I don't I think you can find a quarterback much cheaper to kind of fill in. This season is kind of put up or shut up time, and I'd rather keep it that way. And if they're not able to get over the hump this year, I'd rather clean house. I'd rather go ahead and get McCarthy out of there. I'd rather go ahead and get Dak out of there. And it's just time to, rip the band-aid off and start over at those positions, and we'll be well insulated for a rookie or whoever the next guy is. Okay. um, those are my thoughts on the Cowboys. Let me know what you guys think. Please like, subscribe, and share. All right, peace.